first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. Max Dupree. Welcome to the Guyana Dialogue. I'm your hostess, Shamiza Ali. Tonight, we will discuss innovative local government and community development and challenges. The Guyana Dialogue is being sponsored by a coordinating council of Guyanese based in the US, UK, Canada, the Caribbean, and Guyana. Funding support is by well-known philanthropist Dave Narayan from Dave West Indian Imports. Joining me tonight is Dr. Tara and Mr. Shrad Kublal. Welcome to the show, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here this evening. As we move on tonight, we will be speaking to Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. Please welcome the Honorable Nigel Dharamlall.
All right, thank you, and good evening to everyone and to all of your viewers as well.
It's a pleasure to have you here this evening, Dr. Tara.
Thank you very much, Minister. I know you have a very busy schedule like other ministers of government to spare some time so we can clarify a number of issues to the general public, especially the diaspora in the UK, the Caribbean, Canada, and elsewhere. This evening, on my left is Mr. Shrad Kublal, who is a graduate in urban and regional planning. He's very much au fait with local government situation in Guyana, etc. And the two of us will be asking you to clarify certain policies, programs, and to ask you to probe further based on your response. So we don't have any preconceived questions for you. Depends on the flow of the information. That is how we will ask for clarification or questions, etc. But before we proceed, I would like you, if you can give us an update on the Buxton outreach, particularly in relation to what Christopher Jones had been accusing the government or the system not giving a fair deal in the awards of contract to people of a certain ethnic group. If you can comment on that, and then we can proceed with other areas.
Very well, and I'd be happy to comment on that. I believe that one of the tenets of democracy is to allow people to express themselves. But even while they're expressing themselves, they have to be factual and they have to be truthful. And in the comments of Christopher Jones, to whom you referenced, I believe that he was not factual, neither was he truthful. From the video that I saw of him, stating that persons of a certain ethnic group are not getting contracts, I believe that that is totally dishonest of him to say so, because it is not the case. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest contractors we have in this country are contractors who have generated a lot of their growth from the policy directives of successive governments of the People's Progressive Party Civic. They have actually grown out of a deliberate attempt by the PPPC government now and previously, where concerted effort was made to make sure that everyone who is interested in the development of our country, who has resources, who have skills, and also those who have the wherewithal to contribute to the development. And we made sure that everyone benefits from the procurement process. As a matter of fact, procurement in Guyana is one of our great achievements, to the extent that most of the procurement is open national, and so anyone is eligible to bid for contracts. And as Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, I can say without fear of contradiction that Guyanese from all walks of life, across the ethnic divide, they have all been benefiting from contracts worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And specifically to Afro-Guyanese contractors, they have been benefiting in the hundreds of millions in some cases tens of millions in other cases. And we have evidence of those across all 10 regions of Guyana. And I can say again, very factually, that we have contractors of African origin or Afro-Guyanese origin in all 10 regions of Guyana bidding for contracts at both the regional level as well as at the national level. Mr. Jones went to the extent of making some insidious comments where he indicated that Afro-Guyanese do not benefit from loans from banks because they are Afro-Guyanese, and I think that that is totally outrageous. The only pillar that they use now is this whole issue of racism. And they've been unable to prove that there has been racism. So there is just this mantra of instigating racial conflict in our country by elements of the People's National Congress. And luckily for us as a government, President Ali has embarked from day one on a One Guyana platform, and we've been able to work across in communities. As a matter of fact, only a few days ago, the Prime Minister led a delegation of ministers to a very huge meeting in Buxton. This afternoon, myself, I came from the village of Betavwakting on the east coast of Damarara, also a meeting with nearly 100 persons. And this is just an engagement that I agreed to meet with them. They actually asked for the meeting to meet with me. And we've been working in communities across the country. We have done thousands of meetings already in 23 months of President Ali being in government, from the level of the president to ministers of government and high officials of the government. So the whole argument of the PNC right now holds no water, because they can't speak of competence, they can't speak of performance, and now they're trying to divide our country by bringing up racial sentiments. But I'm happy to report that from all that we've seen and the work that we've done on the ground, the direct contact we've had with people in our communities, that people of Guyana focus now on issues, and everyone really wants this country to develop, to move forward. Everyone wants to make a living, take care of their families, and I think President Ali's policies and of course his One Guyana platform, we are moving in the right direction.
Okay, you said there is evidence throughout the country that contracts are being awarded on a fair basis. Do you plan to publicize the evidence?
Well, at some point in time, we will. But a lot of these contracts, these are private individuals, and we will have to seek their permission to publicize who they are. But if you go on the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board website, you will see who these contractors are. So
you're saying this
it is publicly available, and at the regional level too, we have regional tender boards.
It's available on the website.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. Now, all right. I know you all are doing a great job with the outreach you're taking government to the people, but for the general public, explain to us the difference between the work of the local government commission as opposed to your ministry, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. What are the main differences?
The Local Government Commission is one of the principal commitments that President Jagdeo, when he was president, made to the people of Guyana to enhance local democracy. And we have since been working in that direction to make sure that we work very closely with the Local Government Commission. They are basically responsible for administration of what we call LDOs, local democratic organs. And these are specific to the neighborhood democratic councils and the municipal councils. And their function has to do mostly with administrative issues in terms of recruitment, in terms of terminations, in terms of disciplining, those types of administrative things. At the level of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, we work more at the policy level to make sure that the vision of President Ali is implemented by all stakeholders within the local government system. The Local Government Commission is one of those stakeholders that work with us to make sure that there is better delivery of
Are they
goods and services.
functioning primarily in an advisory capacity
No,
or
like I said, they are
existing capacity?
stakeholders, so they're not just advisory, but they have a principal day-to-day function. They also work, like I said, administratively to make
Can they
sure that.
recommend policy to your ministry to implement?
Well, for policy is a mandate of the government, of the cabinet. And so we would develop policy at the level of the cabinet. And we expect that all the stakeholders that we work with, that they are going to work on a common cause to make sure that these policies are effectuated. So the Local Government Commission, like I said, is one of those bodies. And they work in a specific area, more in terms of the administration of the local democratic organs.
They do have executive authority where they can remove local government officials, right? Is that right?
Yes, well, exactly. So they have executive authority, but for us in Guyana, everyone gets an opportunity for a fair hearing. So they also have certain procedures, rules and procedures. They have certain protocols that they have to follow to make sure that they treat with issues of the administration of local democratic organs in a very fair and transparent way.
Okay, thank you. How many local government areas are there in Guyana currently?
Yeah, well, we have 17 neighborhood democratic councils in and 10 municipal councils in all 10 regions of Guyana. And so basically the local government system oversees those 70 NDCs and 10 municipal councils. But in the wider definition of the local government system, we also have 10 RDCs, or regional democratic councils, that govern the 10 regions of Guyana. And the government also play a critical role in doing the heavy lifting uh, in terms of the investments and interventions that we pursue in both the 10 RDCs, the 10 the 10 municipal councils, and the 70 NDCs.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass on to Kobe.
You know, I know your ministry is involved in all the 10 regions, and you just mentioned that you have about approximately 70 LDCs. And your ministry interlock with every other ministries. Can you tell us some of the challenges you face in carry out your function?
Well, I think we have a good system in terms of how we collaborate with other agencies of the government. We work as one government, as a matter of fact. I must make that very clear and be unequivocal about it. But beyond that, I think that of course all of us work on the different challenges. The challenges of my job requires me to be out of the office as much as possible. So I would say that the challenge of the job really is being in the office rather than being out of the office. But luckily for us, the entire cabinet and the rest of the government, we share our responsibility on different issues across the country. So the Ministry of Local Government basically serves as the link between government and people, people and government. And so we're able to capture issues as local as possible. In terms of regional development, our mandate includes the administration of regional education as well as regional health. Of course, we have the guiding ministries, or the policy ministries of education and health. We also have a public works program in regional development, as well as an agricultural program. So yes, we capture a lot of what has to happen in government and across the country.
Okay, let me give a hypothetical example. You want to install solar panel in Region 7. What role does the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs, the Ministry of Local Government, and what role they each play in that? Who is the
Well,
lead agency?
yeah, well, like I said, we work as one government, and we have an incredible team that the president and the vice president they've been able to put together, and our cabinet has one focus. So I myself cannot reach to all the communities at the same time. So my colleagues also work very closely. Uh, but in specific reference to what you just said, um, we collaborate a lot in terms of data gathering, and in some cases, some of the other agencies will do the actual implementation. So it is not we don't operate a government where anyone is independent of each other. We work very closely, and we all work towards a common purpose. So we will do a lot of information sharing with the other agencies of government. We will also be part sometimes of the actual execution of implementation of some of the work, and in other cases participate in the execution as well. So if you were to set up a solar farm in some community, then we do the data gathering with the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs. Uh, the fleshing out of it is done by the technical people, maybe in the Ministry of Public Works or in the Office of the Prime Minister. And the procurement and implementation will be done by them with support from us and maybe the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs.
So the solar panel, those things will be funded by the regional system or by the central government or a combination of both.
So, how we work in terms of the budget process, there is a national budget, and every region is an agency of the budget. So, we have, in terms of the regional development system, we have 10 regions, and meaning there are 10 agencies. And then we also have sectoral agencies in terms of some of the other types of ministries. And then we also have social services. So a lot of what has to happen cuts across ministries. Um, in some cases, some of the heavy lifting is done by the sector ministry, and in other cases, it'll be done by the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. But to say that the budget of one ministry is different from another, I think would be doing a disservice to how the budget process operates. Um, so a lot of the small things, we do a lot of the small things in the 10 regions. A lot of the road building is done through the Ministry of Public Works. The solar investments are done through the Office of the Prime Minister. The drainage and irrigation done through the Ministry of Agriculture. Uh, some of the road construction in the interior will be done by, again, our ministry as well as the Ministry of Public Works, and in some cases, the Ministry of Natural Resources. So we tend to share resources based on what is available and based on the type of work that has to be done.
So when when there are reports of roads not passable, you got potholes, etc., should that go to the regional administration or to the central government?
Yes, so there is a system that we have in government where on a daily basis we collect information at the local level, and then that is filtered up into the some of the executing agencies. So those that can be handled at the level of the region will be done by the region. The regions are also, their budgets also require them to construct roads and to fix potholes and to do drainage and irrigation. Like I said, the regional budget has 5 programs or 5 different areas: public works, agriculture, health, education, and the administration of the regions. So we will capture some aspects of what has to be done, and the sector ministries in some cases will do a lot of the heavy lifting. But I think what needs to to probably explain more is that we actually work as a team. So, for example, in road building, we have a team both from the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development and from Public Works and from the Ministry of Finance, that they will all go, the engineers will go out and do the assessment of the physical conditions of the roads, and then a decision is made at the level of the different ministers and the cabinet to decide on what we can do. And of course, all of this depends a lot on the resource available. So resource allocation is done at the level of the cabinet, which includes, of course, His Excellency the President, because at the end of the day, the President is overall responsible. And so the commitments that, or the work that we do are in relation to the commitments that His Excellency has made during the submission of his manifesto to the people of Guyana.
If there is a road to be built or repaired, it has to go through the Ministry of Local Government or Public Works, or who identify the condition of the road?
So like I said, we work together. So some are done through the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. Some are done through the Ministry of Public Works. But it is. I believe that we are splitting hairs here. It really doesn't matter who funds it. What is important is that it gets done, and
I know.
and so the commitment of President Ali and of course our Vice President too is to make sure that in the next 2-3 years we're able to get all of our community roads to the level of either concrete or rigid concrete surface or asphaltic concrete surface. We still have hundreds of roads across our country where people are facing, many difficulties traversing on some of these roads.
In terms of these housing projects that the government is doing in various regions, what role does your ministry play in them, the housing projects, in terms of layout, the infrastructure, etc.?
Yeah, well, naturally, like I said, we support basically a lot of the sector ministries. So the Ministry of Housing has its own engineering network that will do the design and construction in some cases, but a lot of the work that we do will be the soft type of support or the non-tangible support, and in other cases we will also chip in with resources to make sure that the drainage systems, the road networks, those things, the solid waste management, I think, which is probably one of the biggest issues or challenges of our country, is to make sure that people continue to manage their garbage in a very efficient way. So that is also part of the mandate of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, solid waste management. So we oversee that aspect of community development as well, where all of the local democratic organs or the 70 NDCs, the 10 towns, they are involved in proper garbage collection and disposal. In many cases, the government centrally, through the ministry, we will pay for the collection and disposal of garbage in some cases. And in other cases, we actually invest in the construction of solid waste and landfill sites across the country. At this point in time, we also operate the Higgs-Bush Sanitary Landfill, which is the main landfill in our country. It's situated behind the stadium in Eccles. And we spend a few $100,000 equivalent per month to manage that. And that facility picks up garbage from Region 4 and to a large extent Region 3. In other regions, we have facilities. We don't want to say they are sanitary landfills, but they are probably an upgraded dump site in some of the other regions.
Are you planning, or how early you intend to get recycling machines at work in the various regions?
Well, we've had quite a few expressions of interest where private individuals of and consortia, they have been making proposals, and we've been providing the information to them, and I guess at the business level they will make those decisions. But it is part of the program of the government to make sure that we focus on building the esteem of our communities, where they are engaged in proper waste disposal, whether it is recycling, whether it is reducing, or whether it is reusing. There's a concept of the 3R concept that is being implemented in some areas, but it is still a challenge. It is something that even the president has been involved in to make sure that we have national cleanups. In January of this year, His Excellency led a cleanup exercise, and just 2 weekends ago, the Prime Minister led a cleanup exercise inclusive of all 10 regions in Guyana. And we have seen the difference from January to 2 weeks ago, and the amount of garbage that we picked up, and the the culture towards solid waste management has changed drastically in the last 6 months, and we have to keep at it. And I hope that in the next few months, possibly by the end of the year, things are going to get much better in Guyana. But you have seen the physical transformation already.
And plastic waste, plastic bottles and plastic bags, and these things becoming a burden not only in Guyana, but the Caribbean and many parts of the world. What plan does the government have to deal with this thing? Right now, you go in Guyana, all the drains and all the cocos are being blocked with plastic bottles. It's becoming a very serious issue in
Well, littering is an offense in Guyana, actually.
these issues.
So, and we've actually had some people prosecuted already in the last few months. And some have actually, I recall one guy actually having to serve time because they couldn't pay the fine. Uh, but you are right that is a major challenge, not just for Guyana, but globally. But in terms of our circumstances, I believe that we have to continue to work and to educate people on the challenges. We also have to make sure that we create an enabling environment where people can dispose of their garbage in a very sensible way. And also, we have, like I said, no less a person than the president himself led this exercise in January of this year. And we have a mandate to make sure that we work with every household to get to a point where Guyana is going to be clean. We can only continue to educate people not to dump garbage in our waterways, especially those that lead
Yeah, but there's
to
no policy set up really to deal with the extra amount of plastic, like plastic bottles, to recycle them or to
well, like
make.
I said, I mean, yes,
Okay.
in the
Yeah,
sense
you will
that
always have that problem unless you have something to get rid of these things or to utilize them to make use of
so
as raw
as we are
material.
growing as we are growing in terms of an economy, you are going to find the generation of waste becoming even greater. And that is why I said that we have been working on the 3Rs concept: recycling, reusing, reducing. But at the same time, which is a policy direction of the government, uh, we are also working in terms of prosecuting those who are indiscriminately disposing of their garbage in public spaces. Uh, we have also have pickers at our facilities. Some of the facilities have what we call pickers, that they will actually go and take out some of the waste that can be uh, recycled or converted to something else. So we have a lot of that going on. But it is going to take some time. And I think that, like I said, in 6 months, we've seen a massive transformation. And I hope that by the end of this year, you're going to see even greater mobility on this issue. But again, it is an issue of a community culture, and I think that if policy alone cannot resolve this, what has to happen is that people have to take ownership of and pride of their communities. And I think that as we are working to develop the infrastructure and as places are getting quote unquote nicer, you are going to find residents taking more responsibility. So I think that we are moving in the right direction, and hopefully the rest of the country is going to catch on.
One of the problems with most local government or local government council is finance. They're always been short of finance. When you go and talk to them, even they get to clean the drain and deal with garbage, finance is the big issue. How are you dealing with that situation?
Yeah, well, that has been a time immemorial problem or challenge facing our local organs. The collection rate on the national average is possibly around 50%, and we find that many persons who have migrated, in some cases, they have been some of the ones who are not paying. Whilst even here we have quite a lot of businesses that are recalcitrant in this exercise, but the government is doing the heavy lifting. We realize that this is a major challenge, and the councils do not collect much. I think, though, outside of all of the councils, Georgetown, the main municipality, they they garner about $2.2 billion per year, and unfortunately, they have not been able to spend it wisely uh, to the betterment of the citizens of Georgetown. Uh, and this is a challenge in many other areas. But the government does a lot of the main work. We do a lot of the main drains. We do a lot of the main road construction, the garbage collection. We also employ what we call enhancement workers in all of these communities, just to make sure that they take care of the
Actually,
physical infrastructure of the communities.
but one question I want to ask is how is the Ministry of Local Government working and the challenges they face dealing with areas like cities like Georgetown, Youngstown, Linden? I mean,
Yeah, well,
the non people.
those areas have their own challenges, like all other areas. But we try as much as possible to work with the councils. I think some of the councils are engaging the government. Uh, Sometimes we find, especially in the case of Georgetown, that they are more involved in the politics rather than providing a better service to the people of Georgetown. And we recognize also that a lot of the work that that council does is not to the benefit of the people of Georgetown, but to the enrichment and the aggrandizement of some of the political directorate of the Georgetown City
But,
Council.
but the local government has, I mean, the local government authority has any power to implement programs against these situations?
Yes, we do. We do actually, and we have been doing so. As a matter of fact, we only recently completed a forensic audit of the city of Georgetown, and we are the point.
Is that released already?
No, it is not released yet because we have to study the findings of the audit, and we also have to make sure that a lot of the constraints that the council finds itself in, that some of these are corrective action is taken to deal with some of these things. And I've even told the Georgetown City Council that uh, I intend to proceed to prosecute or to have prosecuted those individuals who have misspent the resources of Georgetown.
That's interesting.
The, now, the current administration, the PP administration, in terms of local government, are you walking on the same track as the previous government, or you have a different strategy towards local government policies, programs, etc.? How is your administration different from the PNC, the one before, when they had, we call it, some Ministry of Communities or something like that?
National development.
What's a major difference?
Well, I mean, I think that's like night and day. The difference is like night and day. Uh, we are very accessible. As a matter of fact, only about 2 weeks ago, the vice president, in one of his press conferences, highlighted that one of the most important, or one of the major successes of this government, of President Ali's government, is the accessibility of the government to the people of Guyana. And I think that has paved the way for us to be able to do a lot of what has to be done. Residents are in touch with the president himself, with the vice president, the prime minister, ministers of government. We have open door policies where anyone can come off the public, and as long as we are in office, they will meet with us. As long as we're in communities, and every day, ministers of government are in communities and collecting information, trying to resolve issues, trying to address people's issues. So that is much different from what you found 20 months ago, where no one was listening, no one really cared, and no one was really concerned in terms of what obtains on the ground. And every community meeting that we've gone to, people have commended this current government for the type of work that we've done, reaching out to people and being accessible. And I think also very importantly, be very responsive to their issues and concerns. And we have an excellent delivery rate. Actually, in one of the presentations of His Excellency, he did say that we have practically achieved all of our manifesto commitments already, and we have not yet finished 2 years. So the people of Guyana can expect even more massive development as we move forward, beyond the commitments that we've made uh, prior to the 2020 elections.
And when Guyana was regionalized in the late 70s, there was a very ambitious plan to make each region autonomous. To some extent, some region may be in that direction. What you can comment on that? What position we are at this time?
Well, the regional Guyana is divided into 10 regions.
I know.
Every region has an elected council called the Regional Democratic Council. So, in terms of their governance, they have a great mandate to plan the development of the regions. The role of central government basically is to provide the resources for the plans and programs and plans derived by these regional democratic councils. So there is a great level of autonomy in terms of their decision making, but I think more importantly in terms of their visioning and their overall purpose towards each region. Uh,
I'm particularly thinking about, like the educational, the health services, perhaps the police too. If each region has its own division in those areas, like a Region 4 education district that deal with all education programs in Region 4 as well as other regions. Or
yes, we actually have like I said, we have public works, we have health, education, and agricultural programs in all 10 regions, and
control by
they,
the
they
regions,
are controlled by the regions, and they work very closely with the sector ministries or sector agencies.
government.
Um, with whether if it's agriculture, they will work very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture. They will actually collaborate on agricultural programs within the region. Same for health and education and public works, like I indicated to you earlier. All the roads and the bridges that are being constructed, uh, they are derived at the regional level or at the local level, and then the heavy lifting with central government when those regions do not have the resources to invest.
Okay, coming back to the same region there, Region 4, Region 7, Region 8, and Region 10 are controlled by the opposition. How easy or how difficult it is to get them to work along with overall policies of the central government?
Yeah, well, sometimes it is a challenge, but we've had a good relationship though with Region 7. But we've had some other regions, Region 4 and Region 10, many times I don't think that they're really committed to the cause of the people, but they're more committed to the political mandate of their political party. So what we have done as government is to, in areas where they have become an obstacle to development, that we have done what all real governments have done, and what true democracy is, and that is to work directly with people on the ground. So we cannot wait until some of these councils, uh, which sometimes will take an inordinate amount of time to make decisions. So we will go and work directly with the communities. But by and large, the central government basically funds the budget of all 10 regions. And so even the budgets of all 10 regions, they will pass through the Regional Democratic Council. So in those cases, there is great collaboration. They have to approve it before it comes to the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, and before I submit it to the cabinet. So so we work in that way. We've had instances where some of the regional chairs of in those areas, especially like I said, 4 and 10, they have stayed away from a lot of the work that we have done. They have basically politicized a lot of the work that we have done. But how can you politicize a road? How can you politicize a canal? How can you politicize a school? How can you politicize a hospital or a health center? And so we have moved beyond that, and we are working for the people of Guyana. So the intention of our president is to make sure that everyone across our country, that equity in terms of services is paramount.
Do you have any issues with those particular regions, Region 10 and Region 7, where government policies have been stated and they try to sabotage it, let's say in making of roads or cleaning of canals and these kind of things?
We've had those cases in
Especially there,
region
you know
in
how.
region 4 and 10. We've had those cases. Region 7, we have not had those cases. And it also has a lot to do with the type of leadership. And I believe that the Region 7 leadership is much different, despite it is uh, PNC dominated, much different from the leadership of Region 4, which is PNC dominated again, and Region 10, which is massively dominated by the PNC. Uh, but on a personal level, many of the councillors will come and speak to us directly, and they will express dismay at some of the positions taken by some of their regional chairs, especially in regions 4 and 10.
Can you tell our listeners how the regional executive officers are appointed?
Yeah, so the regional executive officers are the accounting officers of the region, and so they are appointed through the Ministry of Local Government, and they are placed on contract in the regions. Uh,
They're
so
appointed, although they might happen to be in opposition, like Region 10, Region 4.
yes, so the administration of the councils, because the government does the budgeting and of all of the regions, then the regional executive officer uh, is an official of the government, working on the councils or working in these organs. They have instruments that are given to them by the Ministry of Finance, that they are the accounting officers, that they are chairs of the regional tender boards, and so the government has a critical role in making sure that the implementation of the work program of the Regional Democratic Council, that the work programs are implemented. So the REOs, the regional executive officers, they will be held accountable for the expenditure of taxpayers' monies.
Would you like to elaborate or make a comment on the local government election that may
Yeah,
occur?
sure. I'd be happy to. Elections are something that we, the PPPC, is very happy to participate in. And the local government elections were due last year. However, those elections were unable to be held because the Guyana Elections Commission wrote to us stating that they are at that point unable to conduct local government elections. And I want to be very clear that elections are not conducted by the government. Elections are conducted by the Guyana Elections Commission. So we budgeted in 2021 to have local government elections. We budgeted again in 2022 to have local government elections. Uh, but the elections can only be held by a secretariat that is in place. So last year, there was not an election secretariat per se, because many of the upper echelons of the last election secretariat, they have been, they are currently facing issues in the court, criminal issues in the court. So it took a while to get a new secretariat in place. So I think GCOM has gotten that in place now, and we recently finished a round of registration. So and now they're currently training elections agents, and hopefully at some point in time the Guyana Elections Commission will indicate to us, and in the case, or for the case of local government elections, to me, that they are in a state of readiness, and then they could advise us on when those elections could be held. Of course, all of this will take a lot of money, so we also have to plan a budget for the elections.
But local government will depend on the outcome of reforms that Parliament is trying to seek. Plus, there is an investigation into the irregularities that occurred in the 2020 elections. Are you saying that the local government election is likely to be held before then or after those?
Well, what I can tell you for sure is that we have budgeted for local government elections. We are prepared. The party in government is prepared for local government elections. What I can also tell you is that the opposition is trying to derail that process. They have made some pronouncements at GCOM that run counter to the electoral reforms that are being sought, and reforms which we believe that will add credibility to the electoral process. Only 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago, we had this massive issue where 5 months after an election, only then the elected president could have taken office. We've had a lot of challenges in the judicial system, where the electoral process was being challenged, and then we also have officials who were critically involved in what we call elections rigging, or attempts to rig the national elections. So it is important for us to make sure that we have a credible secretariat. It is important for us to have a credible machinery. It is important for us to have a credible set of legislation so that we can have credible decision making. Uh, we believe too that it is important to have elections when those elections are due. But like I said, the elections are determined by the Guyana Elections Commission. For local government elections, we will actually have 80 different elections. Uh, and that means that, similar to the general and regional elections, where we had one general and regional election, in this case, we will have 80, 70 for the 70 NDCs and 10 for the 10 municipalities. So we would like to participate in a process, and I think all Guyana would like to participate in a process where uh, there will be no loopholes, and people can take advantage of the electoral process.
But the proposed changes in the electoral reform will not impact on, or the election will not be done, local government election will not be done before that or after that?
Again, I can't comment on how soon local government elections would be held, because, like I said, we will have to await GCOM's readiness, and the reforms are currently in the public domain, and as soon as those reforms are able to be implemented, I think they will be implemented. But to correlate between whether we will have elections based on the old uh, electoral laws,
Sure.
or whether we are going to have elections on the new electoral laws amendments, sorry, reforms. I think that all of us as Guyanese who went through the struggle of the 5 months would like to see the reforms in place so that we can have elections done in the most credible, transparent way, and the appointed persons elected, that they be in office as quickly as possible, and that we do not have all of these gray areas which have contributed uh, significantly to a lot of the misconduct that happened in 2020.
Would you like to comment on the digitalization of local government in the various NDCs?
Yeah,
Or
actually,
with the pen and paper
so as,
system?
as we're moving towards modernizing our country, or greater modernizing of our country, we also have to have our services at the cutting edge. So a lot of the centrally driven services are already uh, paperless. We have also implemented a system in the 70 NDCs where their entire accounting, collection, rate collection, uh, those are also done in on a software. So rather than you have to be physically writing receipts and those kinds of things, which take up a lot of time, we're trying to ease off of those things. We have also established an inventory system or a database where issues are collected, and like an issues log register, and that feeds into a national database which is monitored by various ministers of government based on the issue as they come up in terms of responsibility. So I think that we are moving in the right direction, and in due course, you are going to see uh, greater efficiencies.
I mean, it should be,
The entire budget process right now, actually, and the implementation of the budget is basically done via a management information system. And I want to tell you something that maybe many of you have heard before, but since the presidency of Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, that we've had a paperless cabinet. And President Ramatar continued it, and President Ali is also continuing it. So you don't find ministers of government with pieces of paper and large files going to cabinet. And this has been happening since President Jagdeo was president. So
you
since
see,
then, we have been moving towards making sure that our services are at the cutting edge.
I mean, think about digitalization. Um, well, people who overseas can in the diaspora can pay the rates and taxes without coming to Guyana. Those
Yeah,
are,
I think at some point in time that will happen. We'd have to strengthen a lot of the security issues as well, the
All
software
right,
security.
Minister, thank you very much. We have reached our time, and we want to thank you very much. You have helped to clarify many areas where there are a bit of murky areas. You have clarified that. I know you can't give a definite date on elections. People have been asking that, but that will occur in due course. And I want to pass you on now to our host.
Yeah. It is very, very interesting, all that our minister had to say this evening. He spoke of, being accessible and responsive to the people within his government. And actually, his government supports many of the other ministries within government. So he's very knowledgeable. He spoke very things that are very important for all of us. I've learned so much this evening, but more importantly, what I've learned tonight are the challenges that his ministry actually faces on a daily basis. Challenges like that of disposals of garbage and the difference between the RDC and the NDC and local government elections and all of these different things that we heard tonight. I mean, it's a lot of information, but a lot of good information that we can all be better citizens by just listening to what he had to say. And I'm really tonight I've felt that we have definitely learned a lot from what he had to say, and I'm very impressed with what we were able to accomplish here tonight on the Guyana Dialogue. Minister, before we go this evening, is there anything that you would like to say?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be on the program, and I think you guys are doing an incredible job in ensuring that people are educated in terms of what is happening in Guyana. And we continue to look forward to the support of the diaspora in both tangible and non-tangible ways. We are working very assiduously as a government to bring greater development to our country. We would like to continue to have you on board. You are an extension of Guyana. You are a part of the country. You're part of the decision making. You're part of the investment growth in our country, and we look forward and to making sure that you have an important role to play in the development of our country. I can tell you that in the next 2-3 years, you are going to find Guyana much different than it is today. We are building new hospitals around the country. Some of these hospitals are going to offer tertiary care type services, things that we can't have in Guyana now, we'll possibly be doing in 2-3 years, even at a regional level. So we are building hospitals in different regions to provide those services. We are also elevating the services of our classrooms. The Minister of Education has been promulgating and working very hard to make sure that we have smart classrooms in practically all of our schools. The president has laid out one of his policies, which has to do with primary school students now being engaged in software development programming. So Guyana is going to be much different in the next few years. We are investing billions of dollars in community roads. We are doing a lot of new highways, and the Quarantine Highway has to be expanded. Recently, the Ministry of Public Works signed a contract for the Ogle bypass. The Ministry of Housing has already begun the extension of Mandela through Eccles, and that will go towards Diamond. So you are going to find massive transformation in terms of the physical development of Guyana, where infrastructure is concerned. But you're also going to find where human services are concerned, that better services are going to be available. In terms of housing development, the Minister of Housing recently said that we have allocated more house lots, I think over 13,000 house lots in the last 18 months compared to 7,000 of the last government in 5 years. We have a commitment to allocate 50,000 house lots in the 5-year period of President Ali, and we are well on course. We are also on course to meet all of the commitments that we have in terms of employment. In my sector alone, we have been able to already employ close to 11,000 persons through the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development over the last 3 months. Uh, we are also working very closely with small business to have them get access to financing at a grant level. So many of the people who want to expand can now get an opportunity to expand their small businesses. These are things that are going to be revolving every year. We are also working. I don't want to speak on the major sector right now. I think everyone knows what is happening. The president recently made a presentation at the outline of the gas to shore project, where we are going to be bringing gas to shore to as one of the cost-cutting measures in the energy sector to make sure that electricity becomes reliable and stable and expanded to serve our country. We have tremendous investments in low carbon development pathway. The president recently launched a few months ago the extended low carbon development strategy, where the forest as well as the biodiversity there, and that they also become of value to our country. So I think that Guyana is already at the cutting edge. We have an oil and gas industry now that only last week we also found out from one of the executives of Exxon that we have been able to achieve what we've been able to achieve in half the time that other countries have been able to get to the point that we are. So Guyana is moving in that way. We right now have the vice president mentioned recently. We have quite a number of international hotel chains that are coming to our country. Some have already begun construction, and I can tell you that it's very difficult to get a hotel room right now in Guyana because of all of those who are coming to Guyana to do business. So I think the potential is enormous for those of you who want to come and invest. Of course, not every day you're going to get the red carpet because we have to serve everyone. But just come and be part of this investment. And even more important note, come and also make sure that you vote and vote for a government and a party that can transform Guyana and that is transforming Guyana.
If I say one more thing is, if the healthcare become more tertiary and develop, a lot of senior citizens will return to Guyana.
Yeah, actually, we have 6 new hospitals that we have already signed contracts. The construction, those contracts have already been mobilized. So construction will begin in a few weeks.
In terms of environmental enhancement, where does the First Lady beautification project falls? Would your ministry give any support or facilitate that?
Yeah, well, of course, we work very closely with First Lady. I think First Lady has done a tremendous lot in transforming the physical outlook of our country already. The First Lady has been working in all 10 regions, doing transformational projects, and the Office of the First Lady works very closely with the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. Yes.
Thank you, sir, and thank you very much for spending part of your busy, hectic schedule with us, and I'm sure your viewers will really appreciate this, and thank you, and keep safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Forward march, Guyana.
Thank you to our panel tonight. Thank you, Minister, and thank you to all our viewers. Have a pleasant evening. Until next time.
Good night.
Good evening.